Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, and I'm here in the machine shop building a trumpet, and this will be the first of many videos to come, showing you, giving you an inside look of what I really do here at Harrelson Trumpets. For those of you who don't know, I started building trumpets when I was 19. I started experimenting with different ideas and designs when I was 17, and that was my first year of college, which was at St. Olaf in Minnesota. So, in the beginning, I was just a regular guy interested in engineering and math and physics and music, and what I really wanted to do was build a horn that was better than the horn I was playing at the time. The backstory there is that my dad had bought me a pretty nice Bach Stradivarius trumpet from the 60s, and that horn never did take me much further. He had it refurbished, so they had all the dents and dings taken out and re-lacquered and all this work done, and it was a beautiful looking instrument. But for some reason, I had a lot of difficulty playing that trumpet. And it wasn't until my freshman year of college that one of my friends asked if he could try my horn. And he was really excited because my horn was considered vintage. It was like 30 years old at the time. And that was a big deal because the online forums had just started, and this is back when the internet didn't have graphics. It was just you type on the keyboard, and there was just a green or an orange screen, and that was it. And we would get on this thing called T-Pin, and we would type in questions, and like principals of symphonies would get on and type back, and we would chat with them. And it was kind of interesting because we could literally be chatting with some of the best trumpet players in the world, asking them questions, and that's because we were so few in numbers back then. So if you had this technology and you could get online, if you knew how to log on and get into the forums, then you could chat with these people. And the reason they were on was because they were professors at different universities around the world. Long story short, those guys were telling us vintage horns, vintage Bachs, and other horns were great horns, so we should be playing them. And he was like, hey man, I want to try your horn because I heard it's a really cool thing, and they were built better then. Well, so he gave me his like 1992 or 91 Bach Strad, and I gave him my 63 refurbished Bach, and we went to practice rooms and swap places, and we played them for a little while. And when we got back to each other, the consensus was his brand new trumpet was way better, even though it was the same model. So it kind of dispelled the myth that vintage horns are great as a blanket statement. Are there great vintage horns? Sure there are. Are there great newer horns? Yes, definitely there are. I would hope that the best horns in the world are the ones being produced today because we know more. We have more experience as trumpet builders and trumpet players. We have better technology, better machinery, better processes. So I would hope that new instruments would be better than the old ones. However, that's very seldom the case. In reality, newer instruments are usually built at a higher profit margin. So they want to make money here, and to do that, they cut costs. So the cost is really low, and the profit is hopefully as high as possible, and you get this disparity between what you're purchasing in terms of the price and the quality itself. So quality overall has gone down in some ways, even though maybe the consistent looks of the instruments are the same, and relatively the prices might actually be lower on some instruments. But if you're looking at, say, like a Bach Stradivarius today, then the inflation on a Bach has risen quite a bit, and the quality has maybe gone up a little bit, and it's fluctuated. Sometimes it's gone down and up. And I'm not trying to pick on Bach. I love Bach instruments. I have owned many of them, literally over 100 Bach trumpets. So I'm a huge fan of their instruments and the way they play. So I'm not just picking out that one company. But in terms of companies we can use an example, that's a great one. Yamaha has been more consistent, and they have consistently gotten better and better. But their profit margins have risen more than their innovation. So again, Yamaha has the same problem. Maybe they were more consistent in production, but at the end of the day, the quality has not risen very much. In my mind, 5 or 10% over 30 years. Whereas the price has gone up how much? So I do things differently, and the reason I do is because I learned this lesson young. Like I said, this was back when I was 17 that I learned that my vintage Bach had serious issues compared to a new Bach. And long story short, I went into the lab and I started studying horns. And when I say the lab, I mean a physics acoustics lab, which was at the school that I attended, which was a big science school. It is today. That school is very well known for pre-med and sciences, engineering, of course, a lot of other things. It's a very diverse school where most of the students travel abroad, learn a lot of languages, visit a lot of countries. I didn't do that kind of stuff, but I was in the music program, and it was a very strong music school. It's an accredited music school, so it's really on par with a conservatory, and very challenging. I learned a lot about being a musician, but I also took things as far as I could in terms of learning about acoustics and physics and how that applies to the musical instrument. And that was kind of my own independent study, what I wanted to learn and what I wanted to do. Fast forward to today, we build horns completely different. I'm sure some of you know that. My online presence in explaining all of this was pretty strong before YouTube and before we really started filming higher quality videos to show this stuff. So for those of you who have been around in the business for 10 or 20 years, either playing or buying and selling instruments, or as an educator, or even a manufacturer, then you may already know my name, because I have been spending a lot of time explaining to people how and why instruments have been different over the years of production, all the way back from the beginning of instruments till today. And I've been a huge critic of mass-produced horns, because I believe that if you care so much about your music, then you should really have a horn built for you that fits you custom, that takes your playing to the next level. And to me, that's so important, to be able to really just take an instrument, a musical instrument, and make the most out of it. Make the best music, really express yourself in the way that's personal to you. And I don't believe that that is as easy on a mass-produced instrument or an artist series instrument, like an artist series Yamaha or Bach or something like that. Personally, you know, those really aren't custom horns to you. Even if you have a few things customized, that's cool, but there's a day and night difference between that and what we do. So Bach, Yamaha, all the common stuff that you see today, no matter how custom it is, you're getting maybe that much customization. And when you move into a Harrelson, you literally can take that as far as you want. I literally can design and machine and fabricate and put together the horn, every single piece exactly for you. That sounds like overkill, but is it overkill that you spent the last 5, 10, 20, or 30 years, maybe an hour to 4 hours a day, learning your instrument so you could be the best you are? If you did that, then you should seriously consider why you are not playing on a custom horn, because all of the best players in every field are looking for their advantage, and not just so they can beat out somebody else, but so they can become the best that they are, and so they can express themselves as much as possible. So if you look at the best skiers or the best runners, race car drivers, anything, they all have teams of people working for them to create something that helps them achieve greater success, however that is measured. And my idea of success is not that you can play the highest note or the fastest. Really, my idea of success is how can you express yourself in a way that your audience can connect with you? And how can you do that in such a way that hopefully you can make a living at it? And if that's not your goal, hopefully the people that are listening to you truly enjoy and love what you're doing as much as you do. And that's the ultimate goal for me, is to build an instrument that fits you. So today we're going to wander around the shop. I'm going to show you what I'm working on in terms of a project. I'm also going to show you some of the machines we use. And this is going to be really our first week of a video series that hopefully goes on for many years, where I give you an inside look of how I build things. I also want to mention that I have a second YouTube channel that is just launching. It's called Let's Make This. And Let's Make This is really almost the same as this channel, except it's designed with all the makers in mind. So people who are making things themselves, whether you're a machinist or a hobbyist, someone who likes to use design in terms of just computer-aided design, CAD programs, all the way down to the people that like to tinker with their hands. In the Let's Make This program, we're going to go from the simplest projects like making a pen or a bottle opener, all the way to some backlit, color-changing LED house numbers, to how we can build things like musical instruments. We're going to do fun things like build guitars, and of course you're going to see how we build lots of things in the Trumpet Factory. All the way to customizing cars, maybe building things as big as motorcycles, huge installations in homes like custom lamps. And we're going to be using a lot of different tools, including laser cutters, 3D printers, milling machines, CNC lathes. We've got tons of hand tools, and I've spent my entire life building things mostly with my hands, and now with the aid of modern technology for the last 15 years. So we're going to combine all of that, and I'm going to teach you how to make pretty much anything. And we'll have episodes where you can vote, hey, this is what I want to learn how to make, and I will walk you through it and show you how to do it. I guarantee you right now, if you ask me how to make something and ask me to make one right now, as long as it didn't include too many outside parts and there were things that could be sourced in my shop, I could probably make it in 1 or 2 days. Almost anything. So our machinery can make things as complex as an engine or even a transmission, even though we're not going to go there because it takes a lot of engineering, a lot of time, and it would be too big for that channel. We can do things that are that complex, but we can also make simpler things, like we could machine our own custom wheels for our cars. We could make, boy, I can't even think of the things we can make. We can make almost anything that's a physical object out of wood, out of plastic, out of metal. And that encompasses most of what we have out there today. So Let's Make This is another channel that'll be launched later next week. And I encourage you to check that out as well. If you know any makers, then have them check it out and make sure to subscribe, because the first few months is going to be a lot of fun. All right, so back to trumpets. I'm going to show you what I'm working on. The first thing is I've got the lights turned off right now, and that's because the overhead lights can be really bright and create a lot of reflections. So you're going to get some shadows, and we're going to show you what I'm working on right now. This is the bell crook to this trumpet, and our bell crooks are machined out of 2 halves. So you can see that right there. There are 2 halves to this bell crook. We are machining the tubes. So the inside of the tube is machined in halves. And I do that because I want to be able to, let me set this up here. I want to be able to have a crosscut of this and make sure that the design internally and externally is exactly the way I want it to be, because I'm focused on efficiency. So I'm looking at how much energy goes into the instrument and how much comes out. If the antinodes on each partial are vibrating the tubing and setting it into motion, then that is robbing energy out of your standing wave, meaning you're going to get less out of the horn, and you're going to have to put more effort in to play each higher partial. And that is one of the big premises of everything I do, is efficiency. Even if I'm not making trumpet parts, I'm looking at how can I make the part better or more efficient so that the entire assembly is better and more efficient. So the bell crook is machined out of 2 halves, and I'm going to snap them together so you can see them. They've got snap seams in them, and yes, I did engineer all of this myself. Oh, hold on. Of course, when I'm on camera, it's harder to put it together. There we go. Okay, so now I snapped it together. Get it up there a little closer. So it's all snapped together, and now you can see there are tubes inside. And this bell crook needs to be laser welded and then silver soldered. So laser welding would entail putting it in the laser welder and really just tacking like an 1/8 to 1/4 inch line here and here on each of the ends, and then again a couple places here and on the inside. I do that because I don't want to use clamps or other fixtures to hold this together when I do the silver soldering. That way there's no heat sinks and everything gets a full even treatment when it's heated up. So it's laser welded and it's silver soldered. Then we go to hand finishing. Now I also have the tuning slide, so you can see them side by side. and we'll put them together like that. You can see they are different parts. So this is the tuning slide. Again, it's the 2 halves. Let me pull it apart. There it is. So I'll come back down here so you can see these again. And I'll point every piece out. This is going to be a Nouveau trumpet, and Nouveau is basically an artistic styling. It's a period of design, and Nouveau really focuses on natural elements that can become the foundation of design. So these are Nautilus shell kind of curves, and I took those and created this design. Oh, when was it? All the way back in maybe 2003 or 4. So maybe about 15 years ago, I created the first Nouveau trumpets. And this is really what it looks like. This is a modern version of it. So 15 years later, I've changed it quite a bit. You can see it would connect to the valve casings right here. So we're going to put that up here so you can see it. So it'd fit like that. And in reality, this one would be on the other side, but it'd be something like that. And then the other brace would fit next to it. So let's line these up next to each other. Try to do this without shaking the camera. There it is. That's what they would look like. Pretty cool. So this design is extremely efficient, and it allows you to have an artistic horn. It's a little heavier than normal, but it plays very, very well. And that's because there's enough mass here to prevent the vibration at the antinodes. The next part we're going to look at is the lead pipe. Our lead pipes are different from others. Again, they're machined from solid brass, and these are in segments. Our receivers always come off. So I'll show you this. Let's get that lamp out of the way. So here I'm going to take the receiver off. There it is. And now you can see that we have this section up here which has threads on it. They're a special type of thread that is about 5 times more surface contact than other systems that you see out there. So you've probably seen Monet has mouthpieces that screw into their lead pipes. Their system uses standard 60-degree single point threading, which is the least efficient threads you could have. When I started making this system about 5 years ago, we designed it really to have the highest surface contact so that it's just more efficient. So when you screw this down, it's almost like a solid piece. It's also used in our 5mm modular mouthpiece system, which you'll see in a different video. With this lead pipe, we can take the receiver off. Then we can change an insert that fits right here, and that insert changes impedance. And you can screw it back in. When you've done that, you have then essentially changed the characteristics of the horn. So the horn could play basically tighter or more open, either in the lower register, the mid register, or the high register, or all of them. You can adjust all of that. You can also adjust how much flexibility and sliding you have. And what I mean by that is, if you're sliding from a low note to a high note, then if you go whoop, and it's real easy to slide up and down, then that is a lot of flexibility. If you're going up and you go ba ha ha ha, and you start to lock in on some of the partials, then when that happens, you have more slotting. And that's essentially due to how your body is reacting to the impedance in here. And that word impedance, you can think of it as almost like a sonic version of resistance. And it's variable because as you play higher and lower, it definitely feels different. Your body and your brain subconsciously interpret it differently. So if we had 5 players in the room and we give them all the same setting, we'd probably get 5 different interpretations of how flexible and how much slotting there was. That's why we create this system to be modular, is because it's subjective. We want you to find the perfect setting for each individual player. So you would unscrew this, put the right insert in there, try it. If it didn't feel good, we would try another one, and we have literally 450 variations of those inserts, so you can find the one that fits you best. And we can also control the airflow, and that's because each of the inserts has a different inside diameter. On top of that, we have a whole nother set of variables that have not yet been released, even though this system's been out for many years. And those variables include special shapes inside the inserts, and those will be coming in the next couple of years. So we literally have hundreds and hundreds of horns out there with this system. It's called the Venturi Gap Receiver, VGR, and you can have that retrofit on your own horn as well. So that's a little bit of what you see on this horn. Is we've got the Nouveau braces, we've got the tuning slide, we've got the bell crook, we have the lead pipe, which was fully machined as well. We also have finger rings. This is the third slide brace, a couple couplers here, and over here you can see we have a set of bottom caps which are going to be engraved. And here's another Nouveau brace for the next horn I'm building. I'm going to walk you around the shop, and then we're going to say goodbye on this video, because this is really just an introduction to, you know, shop talk and learning how and why our instruments are built the way they are. But I really want you guys to start to see inside the shop, understand how and why Harrelson trumpets are so different. And I guarantee you, you're not going to find any other company that has changed so much in the musical instrument industry as ours. And that's because my vision has always been driven by passion. I play trumpet. I love to play trumpet. I want to play double high C just as much as anyone else, but I also want to play very lyrically, very technical. I prefer to play jazz all the way through the Arbans, and classical music from Mahler all the way down to the simpler pieces like Mozart or Haydn, and everything in between. So I am pretty much that diverse, versatile trumpet player that loves all of it. I just love to play trumpet, and I love music. I've played in a lot of different rock bands and salsa groups, a lot of different types of music, and I want to share my passion of building horns and playing the instrument with you. So that's the whole purpose of these videos. And behind us we have the Herco. Herco is our milling machine. I've had, I think, 6 different milling machines over the years, and the reason we have a Herco today, it's not actually turned on, I don't think. Yeah, it's not turned on right now, but the reason we have a Herco is because they are the best machine for the money today. They offer the most features, and this isn't a plug for Herco because they don't sponsor me or anything, even though that would be nice. So it's a great machine for the price. In reality, I'd like to move up to a DMG Mori or a Matsura or a Micron, one of the more high-end 5-axis machines, and that will probably happen in the next couple of years. But I will be showing you guys a lot of stuff on this machine, both in the Let's Make This series and right here on Trumpet Shop Talk, because I want you to see how and why we do it differently. And even though I'll be giving some secrets away to my competition, at the same time, I really want you guys to be able to see how it's done and why it's done. Behind us here, we have another CNC machine. This is a CNC lathe, and we're going to talk about that another day. I'm going to pan around the shop here for a minute. Over here, you can see that's our laser welder. This area here is where I do my hand engraving and carving. So besides machining, I do a ton of hand work, and I hand engrave and carve metal, and I do that with a lot of the equipment over there. You can see I have my soldering iron out because I'm soldering something, which is actually a set of house numbers right here. It's a completely different project. And here is a prototype finger ring that's oversized. It's a honeycomb style, relieved. We 3D print a lot of stuff, and the 3D printers are next door, so I will show you those in the next video. Let's look over here just for a minute. So behind me we also have a couple different ovens. Those are smaller, like toaster ovens, and those are used to cure parts that have been sprayed. So we have our own proprietary spray known as Acoustic Armor, which is a resin-based mineral composite type coating. It's extremely durable. It's like 10 times stronger than lacquer, and it's more durable than plating, and it doesn't change the acoustics, which is why we call it Acoustic Armor. We have lots of other tools over here. I'll just zoom in quick here on a couple. These are lapidary machines, meaning we can lap and cut and grind and shape different stones. So we offer a lot of inlays, and we can do pretty much any stone right here in-house, and you'll get to see a lot of that as well. This is my computer workstation where I do a lot of work, and that area right there It's where a lot of the designs happen. Up here you can see just lots of photos of visitors and things that I've done. Now behind me you can see more of the machine shop. Lots of trumpet bells. This chart is important. That teaches you all the pieces and how to assemble the 5mm modular mouthpiece. We'll pan this way one more time. Okay, I'm not going to try to make you dizzy, but I'm going to show you around a little more. Here is where we do assembly on 5mm modular mouthpieces. You can see we have some ready to go out. These are parts that just came back from plating. And here's where we're prepping the next trumpet builds. These are our notes for trumpet builds. These are the 5mm modular mouthpiece parts. So you can see we have thousands and thousands of mouthpiece parts in these drawers. Look at all those back bores. These are throats. At any given time, we typically will have a couple thousand throats in stock. And this toolbox, which is only that size, that can hold enough parts to make about, I think, 500 full mouthpieces. And in terms of total parts, I think it holds over 10,000 parts. And we have 2 of those toolboxes. Over here we have our soldering and our soldering hood and a lapidary grinder again. This is another one. This is where we keep a lot of parts. You guys are getting the whole tour. So I want to mention this week we have open houses at Harrelson Trumpets. If you're in the Denver area or if you'll be visiting this weekend, then you want to check it out. I'm going to try to get this video up tonight. So share with your friends if they're in the area that we will have our first trumpet hang, which is known as Trumpet Trials, tomorrow night. That's Thursday night, and that will be between 5:30 and 8:30. We'll have pizza. You can come in, try a bunch of horns, check out the mouthpieces, but it's mostly a social gathering where we just get together and hang as trumpet players and share stories and have fun. But the cool thing is this week we have our garage sale, and I'm not going to show you any of that right now, but we have tons and tons of clearance parts that were slightly defective one reason or another, and those include finger buttons, top caps, bottom caps, mouthpieces. I think we have over 100 different brand mouthpieces that we're clearing out. We have those because we measured them to create our own 5mm modular mouthpiece system. I think we have a couple hundred actually, but we're going to sell about 100 of those. We also have dozens of vintage horns and some newer horns. We have a Taylor Chicago, we have a Wild Thing. We just sold a bunch of the trades, but we do have some of those, and quite a few horns that are more cost effective. And we're selling things like bells, tuning slides, lead pipes, everything you can imagine to build your own trumpets or do your own projects. So you want to check out the garage sale, which starts Thursday, and then Thursday night, and then Friday and Saturday we will also be offering the garage sale items throughout the day. We have a high note clinic. I'll be teaching you guys how to play double high C. Not that you need to be doing that, but it's nice to know. And we'll have some shop tours. So watch online for Facebook Live and YouTube Live videos of that. Here's our air compressor and some of our stock. In reality, our shop is relatively small, so we have to store a lot of stuff. So you'll see cubbies and bins and things everywhere. Underneath all these benches is tons of stuff that's stored, like other tools. Here's one of our CNC lathes. This one is making 5mm modular mouthpiece throats. So there's one right there. And we make, like I said, a couple thousand different throats. And that one just finished. It's telling me, hey, your part finished. So I push OK. I need to load more stock in there, which means I need to get off of here so that can continue to run. So I want to thank you for joining me today. And I look forward to showing you around the shop and having you join me with my building projects on trumpets. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.